Good morning, Jen. Happy Friday. I wanted to talk to you today about inoculants and the new beans that we planted. I am looking at what is maybe a little tough to see, but we have literally dozens of new bean sprouts, and this is just one spot where we planted them. We planted these last Saturday and almost all of them have come up. I'm so excited to see how they actually do and produce for the rest of fall and maybe into the winter. I don't know if beans will grow here in the winter, but we'll find out. But I wanted to show you what we added to them to kind of help them grow and produce better. Now this is a product that I got from Johnny Selected Seeds, and it's called Garden by Varieties. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Anyway, it's a seed inoculant. My understanding of how this works is that when you plant your seed with inoculants, it helps the seed better collect nutrients from the soil. I'm not sure if that's actually accurate or if that's just my very dumbed down understanding of how it works. But for beans specifically, it helps the roots create nitrogen nodules or nodules on the roots that get more nitrogen into the plant so that it can produce better. So my hope is that first of all, we did it correctly. And I'll walk you through what we did here in just a second. But my first hope is that we did it correctly and we used the product correctly. And my second hope is that we planted the beans in a way that they will be able to support each other, because we planted them a lot closer together this time and we planted a lot more of them so that they will be better producers. Fingers crossed. You can plant about 9 bush bean plants per square foot. So that is what we did. We'll see if it works. We had dragon tongue beans over on this side by this trellis that they did pretty well. They produced pretty well, but for the most part, we got one dinner serving every few days, and it was hard to consistently use them because I never had enough to preserve all at once, and making half a serving of vegetables for dinner when we're trying to feed 3 people, it's not really great. So hopefully all of these beans produce really well. We have a bunch of dragon tongue beans. Once again, that's my favorite bean that we've grown so far. It's delicious. It tastes like buttery on its own. It's super good. And then we also have red bush beans. I think they're called red swans. And then on the trellises, we have, and they're already sprouting. I'm so excited. We have 2 rounds of purple beans. Obviously not the purple bush beans. I forget what the specific variety is, but they're like a purple vining bean. And then we're doing 1 more round of your basic Kentucky Wonder pole beans down on the other side of the trellis. And then on the other side of that trellis, we have winter squash, which we might have been a little bit late in planting, but what can you do? I guess you could plan better. Let's go talk about inoculants. Got our inoculants. Again, Johnny's Selected Seeds. I think we'll be buying more of our seeds and more of our garden products from them because, look, I'm all for heirloom varieties and supporting smaller businesses like Baker Creek seeds, but realistically we had a lot of problems with the heirloom seeds that we tried to grow this year. We didn't have a whole lot of success. They were super finicky. Getting them started was really hard. I don't think that I'm at a point in my gardening experience where growing exclusively heirlooms is going to be very successful for me or for our family. So next year we're going to try Johnny Selected Seeds and just get more reliable / less finicky seeds just so that we can keep learning. Now, this product, first of all, is organic. It is considered an organic product, but just because it is organic doesn't mean that it's good for you. So it comes with a few warnings on the back: keep out of reach of children, etc. It says this product contains live organisms that are sensitive to chemicals and harsh environmental conditions, that you need to use protective clothing and equipment, including gloves, safety glasses, etc. I should probably be wearing gloves right now, but the packet is generally empty. Should be fine. I'll wash my hands right after this. Anyway, so like I said, basically this is supposed to help your plants feed themselves better. Now, it's not for every plant, and there are actually different varieties for different kinds of plants. This one is for soybean, pea, vetch, lentil, dry beans, and peanut varieties. So all of those specific plants would benefit from this if you use it the way it's intended to be used. It does also come with an expiration date. Now, as far as expiration dates go, it's not like, you know, the clock on December 31st changes over to January 1 and this is going to suddenly not work anymore. I think that that's just like a for best performance used by the end of the year. Now, who knows? Maybe that's not the case. This is our first year using it, so we'll see how it goes. Just something to think about is that if you're buying this, remember to look for the expiration date. Each packet that we got is 1.5 ounces. They are able to treat up to 8 pounds of beans, which is a lot of beans. That's like seriously so many beans. We definitely didn't plant that many, but maybe someday. There's 2 different ways that you can apply this to your plants, your beans in this case. There's a sprinkle method and the slurry method. We use the slurry method, but for sprinkling, basically you would moisten your seeds in a planter box or whatever you're planting them in, and then you would add your inoculant powder and mix it in really thoroughly. You don't want to over apply it because it can really hurt the seeds, but that isn't what we wanted to do just because we had so many different seeds to plant and specific varieties of seed to plant, and we didn't want to intersperse which beans were where, like move them around in the soil. So we went with the slurry method, which basically is you empty this whole thing into a jar or a container or whatever, and then you add 4.5 ounces of non-chlorinated water, mix it all together, and then you mix that into the labeled quantity of seeds. Now, my concern is that that is what we messed up, because what we did instead of, you know, mixing 8 pounds, we don't even have 8 pounds of beans in this house unless you count the beans I haven't canned yet for eating. What we did is we took mason jars that we don't use for food. These are like jars that I only use in the garden or like to put over like a spider or something if I need to get it out of the house. So we mixed it up in here, and then I split this between this and 3 other jars because we have 4 varieties of bean. And then I mixed the beans around in there, and then I took them out with a slotted spoon. And then we planted them that way. I think it worked because the beans came up just as fast as they did without the inoculants, and none of them looked like dead or different than I was expecting them to, so I'm pretty sure it worked. We'll see. Our plan is to pull up a couple of the plants after they're done producing for the year, to see if the roots actually did develop the nitrogen nodules. I'll report back on how that goes. If it works and if it helps our beans produce really well, this was a very affordable product to add to our garden toolkit. I think it was like $6 or something for the packet, and that's really not bad, especially considering how much you can treat with it. There are different varieties of inoculants, so when you're buying it, you want to make sure that you're buying the one intended for the plants you want to use it for. I don't remember the other kinds, but this is the one that I went with. It was also the one that was recommended by a couple of the garden YouTubers that I watch. We'll see. I don't know. Other garden updates. Let's see. We're about to harvest our first fall radish, which is very exciting. Alex will be over the moon. He loves pulling the radishes up. It's so cute. We have herbs growing again, finally, which is very exciting. I still don't know if they're going to be a successful crop or not. We have them in kind of a weird spot. I think these 4 beds over here need to be reconsidered. All right, and then we have our okra. All this okra. It really is over 10 feet tall. I'm a little bit worried about pulling the okra out because I was in here a few days ago, maybe a week ago, and as I was harvesting some of the okra, I noticed that there were a lot of ants on some of the plants. Ants in your plants, which is not that big of a deal. They're not like a terrible bug or something. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure they were fire ants, because when I shook a couple of the plants, I got ants on my legs, and now I have a bunch of ant bites on my legs that are an actual nightmare. I don't know if you have those in Tennessee, but they are really common here, and they are horrible. They're the worst garden pest, in my opinion. Anyway, yes, I know I say that having had hornworms here. Other update, we've got arugula and spinach growing on this side of the bed now. The arugula, I think, has already come up. I forgot which side I planted what on. One of them came up, so that's exciting. And then it is also almost time to pull out these peppers. We need to get onions in the ground. And the peppers are kind of reaching a point where they aren't really growing that much anymore. There's still like baby peppers on some of the plants, but they're not growing very fast. And some of these plants aren't even like producing flowers anymore. So it's time, which is hard, but that's garden life, baby. Anyway, can't wait to see your garden next week. I'll see you soon.